But yeah, this one's called The Terrifying Tale of the Lantern Man. Oh, baby, oh, baby! Let's just jump straight into this, shall we?
It's time once again to tell a spooky story from British folklore.
Yes.
And today we're looking at the Lantern Man, a terrifying creature said to haunt the fens of eastern England.
Ooh. Any people from eastern England
The
here?
Fens is a large area of land on the eastern coast of England, lying between Lincoln and Cambridge.
Oh, my brother lives in
A lot
Lincoln.
of it has been drained to make way for farmlands, but hundreds of years ago a lot of this area was marshland.
Most places in England were marshland.
And it was considered a wasteland to most outsiders. But there were many living in isolated huts among the marshes that made their living fishing and tending to livestock. Back then, crossing the fens was a treacherous job, even to those that knew the area.
Treacherous.
It was all too easy to stray from the path and get sucked into the boggy waters of the marshland.
It's a never-ending story.
Crossing the area at night was especially dangerous.
Oh, screw that for a
Not
laugh.
just because of the treacherous footing, but because you might encounter the Lantern Man.
The Lantern Man.
As the name implies,
What's the guy's name in Greek mythology who the ferryman? What was his name? Chiron, something like that.
this creature looks like a
Reminds me of
normal man carrying a glowing lantern. Sometimes his light could be seen among the reeds of the marshes, moving about in an erratic fashion. Anyone trying to get closer would find themselves falling into the murky waters to drown.
Oh, brilliant. So he lures you into the murky waters, does he?
The tale is actually very similar to the Will-o'-the-Wisp legend.
I'm not familiar with that
Will-o'-the-Wisp
one.
is another eerie light that's seen in marshes and swamplands, and it lures wayward travellers to their deaths.
Nice. For what
There are
purpose?
various tales of a man named Jack or Will, depending on the version you hear.
Jack
and
Will?
he made deals with the devil, and so he was unable to enter heaven when he died.
Damn.
Instead, he was doomed to wander the earth. And again, depending on which version of the story you hear, he's either carrying a single ember or a turnip carved into a lantern.
Oh my goodness.
He now wanders the marshes and takes his revenge on humanity by tricking people into drowning when they attempt to follow his light. Interestingly, this is where the jack-o'-lantern originates from.
Oh. That's
Other
some-
legends say that these lights are the spirits of babies that died before they were baptized, doomed to wander the earth as
my
disembodied
God.
lights.
Jeez.
There's some version of Will-o'-the-Wisp in most parts of the world, especially around swamps and marshes. The name might change, but the description is remarkably similar. A phantom light seen in the distance that causes travellers to befall some misfortune if they attempt to follow it.
My God.
There is some explanation for these lights. It's thought that people were seeing a natural phenomena that was caused by a build-up of marsh gases.
What?
As organic matter breaks down in the water, it can cause a build-up of phosphenes and methane in the bed of the marsh. Once a big enough quantity has built up, it can suddenly rise to the surface in a large bubble of gas.
Cause hallucinogenics?
The phosphenes will automatically combust on contact with oxygen. It will then ignite the methane, causing a large fire that appears to dance on the surface of the water.
Well, that sounds like an interesting take, to be fair.
I did try looking for some videos of this phenomena to highlight what it looks like. The most intriguing video I could find was this one by Gary Reid of the Unfrequented World channel. This was filmed in North Bay, Ontario, in the swamp area behind his house. As
In
he says in
America.
the video description, there were no roads or houses in the area where the lights are seen. If these are swamp lights, then it gives a good idea of what people might have seen on the fens all those years ago.
That's
And
crazy.
why some might have been tempted to follow them.
Yeah, there's no way I'm following that. That looks like a freaking portal to hell right there. Screw that for a laugh. So that's just gases mixing in the air, basically.
I'll put a link to that video in the description, so go check out Gary's channel. He's got loads of videos on there and it's pretty entertaining.
Aurora Borealis. In my swamp. It's Shrek.
There are some differences between Will-o'-the-Wisp and Lantern Man, although with regional differences in the legends, they get mixed up a little bit. I suppose the main difference is that Will-o'-the-Wisp usually only appears as a dancing light, whereas with the Lantern Man, the apparition of a person is seen carrying the light.
Your eyes can play
Lantern Man
tricks.
also seems to take a more active role in attacking people.
What?
Whilst similar to Will-o'-the-Wisp, he may passively lure people into the waters with his light. He will also pursue.
You know, you guys probably won't get this reference. It's, what's his name? It's old Greg. I'm old Greg. That's what this guy is.
People through the marshland.
I'm old Greg. Why don't you come on over here?
To catch them. Luckily, there are a few ways to avoid the Lantern Man. Obviously, avoiding the marshes at night would be the best bet, but if that's unavoidable, then there are some measures you can take to escape his clutches.
Just stand still.
A book from 1873 titled The Eastern Counties Collectania has a tale of one person who escaped the Lantern Man. It says, "The Lantern Man in East Norfolk, not satisfied with haunting the 101 fens and broads, has an unpleasant habit of following the wayfarer home and lighting up his windows from the outside.
What?
He is said to be awfully angry if you cross the meadows at night with a lantern."
What? These ghosts, man, have they got nothing better to do? Like, why get mad over someone crossing over things that don't even belong to you? Bruh. This guy is a Karen. It's not the Lantern Man, it's the Karen Man. And it's just an asshole.
Once I heard of one following a man while he was carrying a lantern one night. The man knew what to do. He set the lantern down and ran away as if the devil kicked him.
Of course.
When he ventured to look round, there was the Lantern Man, kicking the lantern over and over again.
Set him alight. Set him on fire.
The Lantern Man is attracted to lights carried by other people.
Like a moth.
Also
So what's he, a moth
to
man?
the sound of whistling.
He's a dog moth Karen. Karen the moth
She
dog.
wrote about this in her paper, Investigating the Legends of the Cars. Sportsmen on the Cambridgeshire marches at night would never whistle to their dogs, as whistling was seen as a certain means of calling.
Yeah, so if your dog runs away, it's dead, basically. If your dog runs away, oh wow, we'll get a new one. See you later, Buster.
The lantern.
I don't know what that was.
Such a creature was seen by a Norfolk man who, crossing the meadows at night, whistled to his dog and brought up a Lantern Man. The whistler bolted for shelter into a friend's house, who, in bravado, brought out a horn lantern on a long pole.
What? These guys just have that lying around?
The Lantern Man hurled himself at it, and the lantern was found with all the horn burnt up as though it had been in a fire.
I feel like there's just a homeless man who's just crazy and just telling people to get off his land.
The usual method of protection from the apparition was to lie face downwards with the mouth buried in the mud so that the Lantern Man will pass over the prostrate body.
I thought he said prostate then. Hey, you have to put your mouth on the mud. Just fucking kill me, mate. I'm not doing that shit. Look at that gross stuff. God knows what's been there, the amount of dog crap that's been piled through there. You're gonna die of freaking dysentery if you end up doing this, so you might as well go out fighting. Put your mouth in the dirt. Who do you think I am? Jesus.
Another method of avoiding the Lantern Man is to have two people stand a distance apart and take turns whistling.
Yeah.
As the Lantern Man will always
Piggy in the middle is. Lantern
go
in the middle.
towards the whistling sound. By alternating their whistles, they can keep him at a safe distance until they make their escape.
So is there a border?
There are, however, people that didn't
Oh.
escape the Lantern Man. The most famous victim is probably Joseph Bexfield. He died under mysterious circumstances in 1809.
No, do you?
His grave can still be seen in All Saints Churchyard in Thirlton. Joseph Bexfield was a wherry man. A wherry being a type of boat that...
With that sacred thing, do they put sacred on after it gets to a certain age on the tombstone, or is it already put on there?
travelled up the River Yare between Norwich and Yarmouth.
The River Yare.
One night, Joseph and his fellow wherrymen tied up their boats at Thirlton Staith and made their way along a path through the marshes to the White Horse Inn, where they planned to stay the night. Later that evening, as they were sat around the table, Joseph remembered that he'd left a parcel for his wife on the wherry, and he decided to go back and retrieve it.
Damn.
His workmates looked out at the darkening sky and warned him not to go, telling him that the lantern men would be out there. Some even fancied that they could see faintly glowing lights flickering among the reed beds.
Jesus. You wouldn't get that nowadays, would you?
Joseph scoffed at the idea.
Nowadays, there's
saying
actual real-life monsters, like freaking serial killers and rapists.
that he knew the path well and
I mean, like, I'm not saying there wasn't any back then, but...
would be back in no time, and so he headed off alone into the night. And he never came back. The next day, a search party was sent out to find him, but there were no signs of where he'd got to. 3 days later, his body washed up on the shore of the River Yare.
So he just basically sunk.
Quite how this experienced wherryman managed to drown is unknown, but many believe that he encountered the lantern man that night, and he was unable to escape.
No, I think that he just walked the wrong way, ended up sinking, and then died to death.
Nowadays, Joseph Bexfield's ghost is said to haunt that area. His ghost can be seen on misty nights attempting to light his lantern, or making a nervous whistling sound before disappearing into the marsh.
Yikes.
As the marshes dried up, sightings of the lantern man seemed to reduce in number. But that doesn't mean he's gone forever. Sightings on the fens do continue to this day. So if you are walking in the fens, be careful. Don't travel alone, don't travel at night, don't light a torch, and whatever you do, don't whistle.
I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to have a torch whistling and running through at night, naked. So like a
Thank
turkey.
you for watching, and if you found this video interesting, I have made a few others on weird British folklore, so you might like those as well.
You guys should check out Shrouded Hand, fantastic YouTuber. Different in the sense of the way that he tells his stories. Just feels like a guy telling you a story by an open fireplace. So if you guys enjoyed, go subscribe to him, like the video, and there we go, guys. That was Shrouded Hand.